Hello, everybody. This is HQ. Back at whatever this is, back at it. You know, this is what I saw the other day. This is what I saw the other day. After those young people got shot in New York, right? Or not New York, I'm sorry. Well, right outside the White House. Even as we progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains and living conditions for many. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country. All federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country. Denaturalized migrants who undermine domestic tranquility and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-comparable with Western civilization. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. Reverse migration can cure this situation. This is I think we have reached a tipping point. It's Mexican music, Hispanic music, Latin music, Black America. Good afternoon. I think it reached a tipping point. I don't understand what this country is doing, but I do know there is some kind of concentrated effort to undermine all of the underpinnings and what we have stood for years in this country. I mean, it's not unfair to say that the recent moves by this president, his consolidation of power, his attack on free speech, independent institutions, look like a gigantic blueprint for authoritarian rule. It just does. I've been sitting back here trying to figure out how do we get people to not say or push back on anything that this president is doing. Okay? An authoritarian rule. That's what it appears to be. According to a lot of experts tracking domestic black backsliding, the current administration seems to be engaging in what political people say executive aggrandizement, concentrated power within the executive branch. That's what it seems like. Weakening the oversights, undermining all of our checks and balances, sidelining civil conversation. This is not a small thing. It's a step towards making the president the ultimate authority, and that is not what our Constitution said. At the same time, there's a growing crackdown on the free speech, the dissent, the academic freedom. Even I heard judges. This is what blew me out of the water and why I came to this stream. Trump is firing judges. Trump is firing judges. Some firing of the judges came within emails, in the middle of mid-hearings. Dismiss the cases of the people in front of you. That way the people in front of you cannot have a case. The case cannot be current. And then once they walk outside of your immigration hearing, people get arrested. Many of these people were dismissed or replaced under a new policy that allows the DOJ to use temporary immigration judges, including attorneys with small, little, or no experience in immigration. They serve at the pleasure of the DOJ. I get that, meaning the executive branch can reassign or terminate these judges. There have been a termination of 90 judges so far this past year, 90 judges. Why would a administration need to cancel and fire 90 judges? Most of them coming from Democratic states. Why would you feel the need to fire all of them? I'm assuming to align with what you thought. But that's the thing. You're not supposed to fire judges or have that kind of sway over judges because judges are supposed to be impartial. Because this administration wants more aggressive removals or deportations or remigrations or whatever, it may prefer judges whose rulings tend to favor denial or relief of deportation. Replacing veteran judges with temporary judges are more easily influenced, who may be more easily influenced than the veteran judges that are on the bench. It's not a matter of trying to cost cut. That's a lie. The administration may view the existing immigration court as too slow, overwhelming, or too much money. That's not the case. But you're not supposed to be exerting political control over immigration adjudications. They're supposed to be independent of the administration. But they want, and this president has always wanted, people to be loyal. Not, what is it called? Not smart. Because this administration is full of DEI hires. He doesn't want smart people. He just wants loyal people. And those type people are dangerous to our country. Dangerous. Because the immigration judge is supposed to adjudicate cases impartially, massively unpolitically. Those are political fires. Those judges have been fired for political leanings. Okay? Because the president seems to think that these people are unloyal to him, and you're not supposed to be loyal to him. I don't understand what's going on. Why would you think I'm supposed to be loyal to you when I am on the bench? I am a judge on the bench. Why would I need to be loyal to a president? I need to be loyal to
crackdown on it.
Right? Loyal to the Constitution, right?
Now to the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. At the same time he is deporting undocumented migrants, about 100 immigration judges have been fired or transferred, or they've resigned.
In July alone, 20 judges have been let go. We talked to 3 of them about how it went down.
It was arbitrary, unfair, and it's an attack on the rule of law. It's an attack on judges.
George Pappas, Jennifer Payton, and Carla Espinoza were all fired this month by email. They'd been federal immigration judges who together ruled on thousands of cases in Chicago and Boston. Did they give you a reason why in your email?
My email was 3 sentences. I had no cause. I had no explanation. We as judges were in fear. We were concerned, and that makes it very difficult to be impartial. We were not succumbing to that pressure, but it does feel like pressure.
Were you ever told how to rule?
Yes.
What'd they say?
They told me, grant the motions to dismiss. This is when ICE was roaming the courthouses. Because
grant the motion to dismiss, so that when you dismissed the immigration case, the people went outside and got arrested. This is what these judges have been pressured to do. And some of them resist that pressure and then they get fired. So somebody tells me I know what's going on. I know you want me to dismiss the cases so they won't have a case, because most people are making the complaint that I'm in the middle of doing the legal thing. I'm in the middle of doing the right thing. I am in court legally to become a citizen. So if the judge dismisses my case and I walk outside, there's immigration outside, they will arrest me because I don't have a current case. I'm just an illegal walking around whose case just got dismissed. This is why the judges are being fired, because they're not saying, no, I'm not gonna, they've been waiting 2 or 3 years to be citizens. I'm not about to dismiss their case so that they can go outside and you arrest them. This is what's happening around the country. This is what your radical right Trump administration is doing.
Because if we dismiss the case, that person that responded then leaves the court vulnerable to immediate apprehension and expedited removal.
Just so people understand, you grant a motion to dismiss the case.
Correct.
Now the individual, what?
They are no longer in proceedings.
Once they left the courtroom, more often than not, they will be handcuffed and led away by the ICE officers.
Take a step, back up, back up.
CBS News has reported.
This is how we found this stuff in the news. This is why these people were getting arrested at their hearings, because the judges were dismissing the cases and people were getting arrested. Shut your dumb ass up, Trump USA 1. So this is what they were doing. And when judges said, we're not doing that, that's not ethical, X, Y, and Z, Trump decided that across the board, across the country, he was going to start firing the judges. So it's been 90 judges so far.
On the numerous cases where ICE agents detained immigrants as they exited their court hearings. With about 600 immigration judges left, courts now face a backlog of nearly 4 million cases. President Trump says it could take 200 years to resolve all these cases.
It is my opinion that this administration could give a hoot about the backlog.
The administration says repeatedly, these folks are here illegally. That's breaking the law. They got to go. Do they have a point?
Well, that's why they're in proceedings in court. There is law that we're applying, and they might have to go.
But that's the point. They are here illegally, but they're in the process of becoming legal. Why would you need to arrest people who are in the process of becoming legal? I've been here for 3 years. I've been here for X, Y, and Z. I'm in court proceedings to become legal. Why would you want to just dismiss all of my cases, dismiss all of these cases, and then when I leave the proceedings, I get arrested? This is a deliberate attempt. See, this radical Trump administration lied to the American people. Most of us thought, okay, he's going to deport criminals. He's going to deport the criminals. He's going to find the criminals and he's going to deport them. Okay, fine. We can live with the criminals getting deported. We can live with that. But people who are in the process of proceedings, in the middle of proceedings, you're going to drop their proceedings and you're going to deport these people. It's a deliberate attempt not to worry about criminals. It's just to deport brown people. That's all. It's a way to deport brown people. And this radical government, this radical Trump administration is doing just that. You all hit the like, share, and subscribe. We have this content every day. We have content every day regarding what the world events, what's going on, how, when, and where. I appreciate the like and the sub. Please and thank you.
They might not.
What's at stake here?
It's really the future of our country. If the funding is going to enforcement and there is no justice left, that shows that our country is no longer embracing the need for due process and for justice.
That's a big statement. The
Yes.
future of the country is at stake here. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. If you're attacking the very judges that adjudicate cases, there's not going to be a rule of law. That should concern everybody, not just immigrants, but U.S. citizens.
Today is them, is immigrants. What about tomorrow? Who's going to get due process denied next?
We reached out to the Justice Department. It declined to comment on the firings, but said the Trump administration is, quote, vigorously enforcing our nation's immigration.
Yes, they are. They're getting rid of brown people. It's a deliberate attempt. Because first you get rid of the judges. First, you get rid of the judges. You get rid of the people who are following the law. You get rid of people who are practicing the law, and then you make them quit the cases, stop the cases, throw out the cases, and then you attack the people.
Area. We're speaking exclusively with two San Francisco immigration judges fired on Friday without warning or cause given. That means more than half of San Francisco's immigration judges have been let go since President Trump took office in January. Our investigative reporter, Hilda Gutierrez, has been covering the ongoing turmoil at immigration court all year. She joins us now with that story.
Why would you feel the need? Why would you feel the need to get rid of the judges? See, that's the thing. I can understand if you told the judges, look, we want you to cancel the cases in X, Y, and Z. Of course. So, Jim, Jim, Jimb, Goofy. There ain't no corrupt judges in other states besides the blue states, Goofy. They ain't corrupt judges there too. Wow. So why would you need to get rid of the judges? Why not just have the judges instruct the judges to just get rid of the people? Cancel all of their cases. Right. Cancel all of it, because that's what they're doing, and the people in these states say that's unethical. The judges in those states are saying that's unethical.
Sorry, Hilda.
12 immigration judges have been let go from this San Francisco immigration court alone since the year started. That's why two of the recently released judges tell me that their termination did not come as a total surprise. Judge Shutting Chen and Judge Jeremiah Johnson didn't show up to work last Friday expecting to be fired, but they weren't exactly surprised when it happened.
When I saw that Ima had a very emotional reaction, and I started to cry in my courtroom in front of the parties.
We're all public servants. We've spent years of our lives serving the United States in this role. And no explanation, no thank you.
Chen was appointed by the Biden administration in 2022. Johnson was appointed 8 years ago during the first Trump administration. The judges are part of the latest wave of immigration judges fired by the Trump administration across the country. In total, the Department of Justice has fired some 90 immigration judges this year, according to the National Association of Immigration Judges. Judge Johnson says the pressure first came through memos.
So I saw that as soft pressure. It was giving judges the hint that they should hear cases a certain way, decide them quicker, move faster, less due process, essentially.
The Department of Justice has stated it evaluates immigration judges on how they adhere to the law, and in recent policy memos that it's attempting to weed out bias among judges. At San Francisco's immigration court, shockwaves from the firings were already being felt.
I'm saddened because the system lost.
Y'all sound goofy in the chat. The DEI installed judges. Y'all sound goofy in the chat. Most of these judges are white. You sound okay. Well then, then now you're making sense. DEI judges. Okay, most of them are white. Good. It is how it is.
Lost great judges.
You think it's DEI? Go ahead.
Immigration attorney Wahida Norsat said her client, an asylum seeker from China, was supposed to have their final hearing today, but
sure I am, Bally. Sure I am. You all hit the like button, share button. We have this content every day. We appreciate the like and the sub. We bring you content that is relevant to the world, X, Y, and Z.
She was told their judge had been fired and the hearing has been pushed back to 2028.
Wait 5 years to get a court hearing and then being thrown another 3 years. I mean, this is what parents don't get to see their families, the wives, and these people are desperate to get their asylum.
The same day of the firings, the judges got word of new recruiting advertisements from the Department of Homeland Security.
So they're just firing all the judges. They're just firing any judges just to align with what their priorities are. That's not how that works. That's not how that is supposed to work. Judges are impartial, and judges are supposed to be impartial. Okay? So my thing is, why are you firing judges so they will be loyal to you? What if you believed in beheading illegal immigrants? What if the president believed in beheading illegal immigrants? And then you fired all the people that would not order beheadings. That would be okay with all the goofies? Would that be okay? See, that's the thing. Judges are supposed to be impartial, and you're hiring and firing based on loyalty to you. Okay? Not every judge is impartial. Not every judge is loyal. They have to be their feelings have to be fueled by something. That doesn't mean that they're impartial. Doesn't mean that they're biased. That's the problem. People think judges have to be. Judges can be impartial, but that's not the point. Goofies. That's not the point.
Help write the next chapter of America. Apply today to become a deportation judge, says the job posting.
Not accurate. I believe other people on both sides of the political spectrum look at it.
Nope, Jim, your radical right Republican leaning president is doing that. Your radical right. This has nothing to do with liberals. Don't bring liberals in this. Talk about your president who's doing that. That's wild. Y'all wild. Goofies in the chat crashing out already.
They realize that it's just another distraction, perhaps, or attempt to remove real judges.
The Department of Justice, which employs immigration judges, declined to comment on the firings, but the agency sent us a statement about those new ads saying this Department of Justice is restoring integrity to our immigration system and encourages talented legal professionals to join in on our mission to protect national security and public safety.
So why would you need to fire people that don't have any kind of corrupt record, don't have any kind of malfeasance or any kind of stain on their record that says that they have done things wrong in the proceeding? Why would you need to fire those people and then put out a recruiting ad to get other people to take over those jobs? Because you're looking for loyalty for this wild. You're looking for the loyalty to this nonsense that you want to get started.
I mean, my fear is a total dismantling of the system. I don't know if that's correct. I hope I'm not correct.
In San Francisco, I'm Hilda.
See, you don't even make sense. You don't even make sense. Lola's dad, you don't even make sense. You mean to tell me 100 judges are not following the law? They're all corrupt. All of the immigration judges all across the country are corrupt. All of the judges?
Gutierrez, NBC Bay Area, we investigate.
Now, according to the Executive Office of Immigration, there is still an ongoing plan and budget to hire military attorneys who would replace those fired judges temporarily. Now to a story.
And you didn't think about anything other than firing these judges. You didn't think about anything other than firing judges so you could get the people in who you wanted to get in, who wanted to be loyal to you. You didn't think about any of those things, right? See, firing a lot of judges, right, in mass can be seen as part of a broader shift. I get all of that. You want personnel to do what you want to do. You want judges to have due process and be careful at adjudicating and prioritize the immigration and all that, speed and removals. I get all that. You just want to transform the courts into what you want the courts to be. And judges are supposed to be impartial. Judges serve at the pleasure of DOJ. I get all that. But firing all of these can fundamentally reshape immigration law and how it is administered here. And it's an ideological shift. Here, and what people don't get, I don't understand. If half the country is religious and the other half of the country is not, you can't have all religious judges. You can't have all religious judges. If all of the judges, if we have 50% of the country that's religious and 50% of the country that is not, you cannot have 100% religious judges. You have to have judges that are not religious in order to represent your whole electorate. 347 million of us. Okay? You can't have all religious judges if some of your country is not religious. If the bulk of your country is not religious or a specific religion. But we don't live in an Islamic country. We live in a free country. So that makes no sense. Y'all goofy.
Administration are speaking out, and they're calling for answers as to why they were so abruptly let go.
Our CBS News Chicago investigator Megan Namar joins us live outside Immigration Court with more on their stories. Megan?
Right, Joe and Marie, both judges say they were notified by email that they'd been fired effective immediately, but weren't given any explanation as to why, although both judges have their theories about why they were let go by the Attorney General.
I served almost 9 years in the Department of Justice. I cared about my job and I was good at it.
Former Assistant Chief Immigration Judge Jennifer Payton was fired by email on July 3rd.
No cause, no notice, no reason.
It came less than 2 weeks after Senator Dick Durbin paid a visit to Immigration Court, and Judge Payton.
No, I don't think you goofy people don't get it. I don't think you goofy people don't get it, right? The president is changing the way the courts and things respond based on his way and his view of doing things. Judges are supposed to be impartial, not loyal to a president. That's what you goofies don't get. I get it just fine. I get it just fine.
He took the time to show him the court and explain its functions. Shortly after that, she received an email from the Department of Justice saying she should not directly communicate with members of Congress.
When you're not given a reason, you wake up at 3 in the morning wondering why.
She questions if Durbin's visit and her work on the pro bono steering committee were behind her firing.
I certainly have concerns about whether me being a female, having a Hispanic last name, whether that had something to do with my termination.
Judge Carla Espinoza, who was fired on July 15th, says she specifically asked her bosses why she was fired.
And I specifically asked whether my gender or sex and my heritage had anything to do with it. I am waiting for a response.
We reached out to the Executive Office for Immigration Review for an interview or statement on the firings. A spokesperson declined my requests.
Why are certain judges being chosen and not others? It raises a serious question about whether or not this court system is going to be guided by due process or politics.
Judge Payton says there are now roughly 600 immigration judges doing the work of 700, which will only exacerbate the backlog. Both judges said they were never directed to rule a certain way, but they did receive some directives that they found concerning. For example, that
a judge shouldn't feel pressure or shouldn't have to give respondents time to respond to a motion made by the government.
Judge Payton has filed an appeal. Judge Espinoza, along with another group of recently fired judges,
and I would file an appeal too. Sure, there's people or president that have fired people in the past. Of course they have been. But they're not fired because their last name is X, Y, and Z. They're not fired because they do X, Y, and Z. Why specifically over 90-some immigration judges? Why specifically? Why specifically did you fire the judges from certain states, but you didn't fire judges from other states? Why specifically did you do that? So corruption only happens on the Democratic side? Corruption only happens on the Democratic side. Only goofies believe that. So why didn't you fire people in the blue state? You just fired people in the red state. You just fired people in the blue states. Just in the blue states. And make that make sense. But I mean, it might make sense to goofies. It don't make sense to me, but I mean, it might make sense to goofies why you would fire only people in the red state. I mean, blue states and not in the red states. I mean, that would make sense to goofy people, but That don't make sense to me. What's going on? It's a it's a it's just it's one thing in a long list of things that it's like the president is marching us towards something. Marching us toward let me do this so I can cover up doing something in the back. That's what it feels like. I want you all to concentrate on all of these firings, but I'm doing something else that you guys don't see. This is what I feel like.
Have you back after a really significant week, and I do want to start with the National Guard shooting. You, of course, served in uniform. You know firsthand the impact, the devastation of gun violence. You just heard Secretary Noem defend President Trump's decision to, quote, permanently pause migration from all third world countries. What is your response to how President Trump is handling this?
Well, let me start by saying what happened to the two guardsmen, Andrew Wolf, Sarah Beckstrom, horrific. And it shouldn't happen. And I'm praying for him and for her family. This is a horrible, horrible thing. And there needs to be an investigation and accountability. But when I heard this,
that's the way I feel, Rainbow Kid. I feel like all of this stuff is a distraction. Everything this president, everything he comes up with is horrific. Everything he does is a horrific attack on the Americans. It's a horrific attack. Every time you turn around, it's something weird, something out of the ordinary. People be like, oh shit, he did that. But behind the scenes, he's stealing money. Or behind the scenes, he's bringing over South African white folks. Throwing out the brown folks, but bringing the white folks over. I always feel like it's a sleight of hand. You're not looking at what the right hand is. The left hand is doing bullshit, but the right hand is something else. It's wild.
The secretaries say that they're going to pause immigration from third world countries. I mean, I take that as a message that they don't want brown people coming to the United States. And
yeah, I mean, that's the way I take it. I take it to mean you don't want no brown people here. That's why I don't understand when we hear people say, why is you black people over there in the Democratic Party? Because you Republicans don't want black or brown people over in y'all's party. You don't want brown people to come here. You don't want black people to come here. You don't want anybody black or brown in your party. So I don't understand why there's a big, why there's a big push to ask why black people are Democrats. Because they don't want them in the party. Hey, he just said it. I don't know. He's a white dude.
That they're going to pause immigration from third world countries. I mean, I take that as a message that they don't want brown people coming to the United States. And I find that disturbing. We are a country that has always welcomed individuals that are struggling, that are fleeing famine and violence. And it would be a fundamental change to the fabric of our nation to change that.
You know, you say you think that they are targeting people who are brown.
Why y'all be on TV saying the dumbest shit? And like we got the goofy goofies in the chat. Why do we have people playing like they're disingenuous? Like they don't understand what their party, the bullshit they party is spewing. This radical right administration is doing. Why people act like they don't understand what's going on? We get, every time we turn around, we get something that reminds the black and brown crowd that they're not welcome over in the Republican Party. Why is it that we get reminders of it every week? And then the goofy goofies, like people in the chat, and all these people on TV, she says, this lady right here, why do you think they don't want black people? No, why do you think they don't want brown people in the country? This is called a disingenuous argument. Don't play stupid. Don't play dumb. Don't play dumb in my chat. Don't call me dumb. Don't piss on my head and expect me to believe the bullshit See, this is what is called A-like gaslighting from this Republican radical government. This is what is called A-like gaslighting. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the reality of what they really think. What they really don't want is the brown and the black people here. But they don't want me to say that. They want me to not say it, be nice. But this is what these people are saying. Get these people out of our country. Get these people out of our country. Every time we hear them say that, get these people out of our country. What the hell you think we supposed to think? What they think we supposed to think? If you say something like that, if you say get these people out of my country, and it's never, I ain't never seen no people from what the hell is it? I ain't never Norwegian. I ain't never seen none of them people get thrown out of the country. I ain't never seen none of them people hit the ground and be trying to thrown out. I ain't never seen that. All I've seen are the brown people, and yet and still they expect us not to know that they don't want the brown people here. Because you have made it known that you don't want the brown people here. Get them people out of my country. I don't never see none of them saying nothing to no blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. I ain't never seen them say nothing like that to no blonde-haired, blue-eyed country. I ain't never heard them say that to nobody come from Norwegian, Sweden. I ain't never say, get them Swedish people up out of here. Ain't never heard that. It's always, when you picture getting them thrown out, it's always a brown or a black person.
What do you think the administration means with this term remigration? You just heard me talk to the Homeland Security Secretary about it, ask her to define it. How do you see that term?
Well, that means just kicking people out. You know, they just want to deport individuals.
Now, you really just sound dumb. You really sound dumb. Who was that who said that? Danny Molnar? You really sound dumb. You really sound dumb.
Folks that I've visited in ICE detention centers in Arizona, one has a deportation order. She came to the country 20 years ago.
You sound dumb, Mary.
Fleeing communist China. She's a business owner. She has 70 employees. Her mom's a U.S. citizen. Her child's a U.S. citizen. Her sister's a U.S. citizen. Husband's a U.S. citizen. And this administration wants to kick her out. She's a job creator. It doesn't help us to kick somebody like Kelly Yu from Phoenix out of the country. It's just ridiculous. And, that's the strategy they're going to take. They're trying to, round up people. She talked a lot about kicking out, criminals. Kick criminals out. Kick gang members, drug dealers. We should deport them.
No. That ain't what they want to do. That ain't what this radical right administration want to do. This radical right administration, they just want to kick out brown and black people. They ain't worried about whether they done committed crimes for real. They don't care about that. Because they need a certain amount. They need a certain amount of people that they need to kick out. So they're going to ramp up the deportation. So it ain't going to just be the criminals. It's going to be everybody that look brown and black. Because that's the only way you can tell, really. That's the only way you can tell that maybe they're going to be foreign or maybe they're not going to belong here. Is the only thing we can go by is the skin color. So let's stop all people that don't look like they belong here. Okay? Because the Supreme Court gave you the right to legally discriminate against people with color. They gave you they gave you the law in order to do, what is it called? To harass by color. Y'all do know that the Supreme Court gave them the right to do that based on skin color. You can stop somebody based on racial profiling. There you go. They gave you the legal right. They gave ICE the legal right to racially profile. You do know that, right? Sure. Only the goofies in the chat don't have an argument. You don't have an argument. No, it's not. Go look at the precedent. Cat. Go look at it. They're profiling you. Stop it. Well, maybe not you. Maybe your color is pale. I don't know.
Of the people they are going after.
Well, let me ask you, because you heard my back and forth with the Homeland Security Secretary about the vetting process. The alleged shooter is said to have arrived here in the United States in 2020.
I don't see one person putting anything in the chat that disproves what I said. I don't see one person putting anything in the chat that disproves what I said. Not one. Not one.
One during America's withdrawal from Afghanistan. President Trump blaming former President Biden, saying that chaotic withdrawal led directly to this moment. Do you believe former President Biden?
Sorry, turn yourself in, goofy. What is they called? The pardons and those things can't be nulled and voided. Only regular, ordinary orders. Sorry.
His actions bear any responsibility?
Well, this
for what
administration,
happened?
they're going to blame Joe Biden on everything. I mean, it is almost getting comical, at this point. It sounds like there was some vetting done in the last administration. It sounds like they did not do enough vetting before they gave him his asylum claim. She talked about changing the vetting process. I think that's a good idea. I mean, when you see an issue and a process that isn't quite working, especially after we go through an investigation on this individual, if there are things that need to be changed, we should change them. I used to have a boss, a commanding officer in the Navy, that would tell me that if you're not changing things, they're getting worse. Process improvement is important.
Let me ask you about the other big story this week. You joined 5 other Democratic lawmakers in a video.
Yeah, that video about that. They did that video because it has been found and determined that Hegseth has committed well, I don't want to say that. Let's not say that. Hegseth has ordered the killing of 2 men who were hanging on the side of a boat for dear life after the United States bombed a supposedly drug boat, and then once that drone nuked that boat, it happened to be 2 people hanging on the side of that boat, and then Hegseth gave the final order, another order, to just get rid of them all, kill them all. Now Hegseth is denying that, of course, but there's 2 people who were there who can testify that he did say kill them all. Now, why is this important? This is important because that's an illegal order. It's a legal order punishable by prison. Hegseth ordered that. Now, that prompted Mark Kelly and the other senators, that famous video that said you're not supposed to follow unlawful orders, that prompted that report right there, that a Republican ordered the investigation of Hegseth along with a Democratic minority. The majority Republican ordered an investigation of Hegseth because he ordered that shoot to kill. And then that prompted Mark Kelly and the 6 other senators to make that video to say, because the people who were involved in that mission were calling friends, associates, leaders, whoever, and asking them, if I'm giving an unlawful order, do I need to follow that unlawful order? That is what prompted this Senator Mark Kelly and his cohorts, the 5 other people, to make that video, because soldiers were calling around asking, were these orders unlawful that Pete Hegseth had given them? That's what prompted this video. And the president, radical right president, Trump, radical president, to talk about sedition. You don't want to talk about sedition because you don't want to talk about insurrection. Because as long as y'all don't want to talk about insurrection, shut your ass up about sedition with these 6 senators.
Urging service members to disobey orders they believe are illegal. We're seeing some of that video play, Senator, right now. In response, the Pentagon has opened an investigation into military laws. It says that you may have violated. The FBI is reportedly launching its own probe. Now, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has personally threatened to recall you to active duty so that you can be court-martialed. Secretary Hegseth adding your video, quote, intentionally undercut good order and discipline. Did it?
I said something very simple and non-controversial, and Donald Trump said I should be hanged, executed, prosecuted. Pete Hegseth said I should be court-martialed. I mean, how ridiculous is this? We say follow the law, and this is their response. These are not serious people. And Kristen, this is meant to just intimidate us. We're sticking up for the Constitution here and the rule of law, and they're saying these folks should be executed for doing that. I mean, Pete Hegseth is not a serious person. He's unqualified for this job.
Hey, I don't need to say it. Everybody else is saying it. Unqualified and unfit to give those orders. This is what prompted those 6 senators to say you can't follow an unlawful, or you are not supposed to follow unlawful orders. That's the whole point. Don't do that. Y'all don't do that. Don't do that in the comment section. TDS, Trump derangement. Just because we have criticism of this radical right president, we got Trump derangement syndrome? I think y'all got Biden deranged syndrome, but we don't call y'all Biden deranged syndrome idiots. So stop calling us TDS. Your president has done so much damage to this country. The reason why these people called for this video is because the people who were on the mission blowing up the boats were calling around. I'm saying allegedly because I'm assuming that's why. Calling around asking, are these orders legal? Are these orders justified? Killing the people on the boat and you don't have any proof. Why ain't we seen no proof? I don't understand. If this is such a what is it called? A slam dunk of these people being drug dealers, why is it that we ain't seen no proof? We don't have any proof. Because they're not trying to give us proof. Because they're lying. Because they're doing what they want to do. Because they're doing it because they want to get the oil in Venezuela. They want to clear the decks so people can not get killed at will. This because Hegseth ordered a kill at will. Make sure don't none of them live. Sure it is. Sure it is. Sure it is. Sure, it's all in my head. It's all in my head. See, that's the thing with these right-wing radical people, specifically these MAGA people. You want us to believe the reality that you're trying to present. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. A lot of people don't believe it. We don't believe what you're saying. We don't believe what the president is saying. We don't believe that. Stop trying to make it seem as though you're the logical one and we're not. We don't believe it because you haven't given us any proof. The president hasn't given us any proof that these are drug dealers. And even if they're not, that's what y'all don't get. When you have prisoners of war, you take them to jail. When you have prisoners of war, you don't arbitrarily murder folks. That's what happened when those 2 people were clinging to the side of the boat after they blew the boat up. You had 2 enemy combatants left over that you were supposed to take into custody. You didn't do that. You had an order to kill everyone on the boat. You are a murderer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they had drugs on the boat. That's what y'all don't get. See, this is the goofy logic. It doesn't matter whether they had drugs on the boat or not. There were 2 people left over alive. And those 2 people needed to be arrested and charged with crimes of dealing drugs to the Americans. not murdered. Just because you're a drug dealer, there's no law in this fucking country that says because you're a drug dealer, you deserve to die. Somebody put it in the chat. Somebody put it in the chat that says if you are a drug dealer and you are a massive drug dealer, that you deserve to die. Somebody put it in the chat. I want to know. I want to hear it. I want to see it. What law in America says because you're a drug dealer, you deserve to die? Because I want to hear it. Because you ain't got no fucking argument. You ain't got no fucking argument. I don't belong in Nigeria, bitch. I belong here. Dumb, non-conformist, toaster, goofy. There's no law on the books that says a drug dealer deserves to die. That's wild. That's wild. And you goofies are clearly wanting us to take your side for it. No, I take the constitutional law for the side of it. There's no law that says that. I go by the law. You goofies just go by your feelings.
Should have never been put in this job. I did not vote for him. I think he is the least qualified Secretary of Defense in the history of our country.
Sure. I don't care, Urban, goofy.
And you can see this by how he has done this job over the last 6 months. And this president thinks he can bully and intimidate people, and he's not gonna stop me from speaking out and holding him accountable for the things that he does that are wrong and unlawful.
Do you plan to cooperate with any investigation, including a potential court-martial?
Well, just like saying that
Sure.
we should be hanged, executed, that's about intimidation. Sending the FBI after us, that's further intimidation. I'll follow the law, but I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not.
I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen someone put in the chat where it's against the law, where you deserve to be executed because you sell drugs. I still need to be put that. Still need you to put that in the chat, because these goofies are making the argument that the drug dealers deserve to die. I want to find out what law, and then I'll rescind everything that I say. If you put in the chat what law says that drug dealers are supposed to be killed. Okay? Drug dealers. No, I don't need to give you a link. The Constitution says that. The law says it. I ain't making no claims. I'm saying just because you're a drug dealer doesn't mean you deserve to die. You deserve to get executed. That's all I'm saying. You're saying he does deserve to die because he's a drug dealer. I'm saying put it in the chat. That's all I'm saying. Put it in the chat that says a drug dealer is supposed to die because they sell drugs. I'm just saying.
Going to be bullied, especially by Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth.
Let me ask you about the substance of this video and your message in it. What specific orders do you believe President Trump made that you consider unlawful?
Well, so this is looking forward, but let me give.
Okay, he's looking forward. Okay, so is he going to give us one? You all hit the like, share, and subscribe. We get this content every day. Marine time. Yes, maritime law does not say you're supposed to die because you're a drug dealer, Urban Shadow. Where does it say that? That's what I'm asking you. Where does it say you're supposed to die because you're a drug dealer? You can say all what X, Y, and Z. I'm asking you. Seeing as how you citing that, nothing says that, because you're not going to present a law that says that you're supposed to die because you're a drug dealer. No law says that. No law says that. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We have this content every day. We have this content. We have this argument. We do all of these things. I appreciate the like, share, and subscribe. Please and thank you. I'm still waiting for the people in the chat to come up with the law that says a drug dealer is supposed to be killed because he's riding in a boat. Why? And we can't even believe that, because a Republican just opened up an investigation because he says what Pete what Pete Hegseth and the president did is illegal, and they committed murder. This is a Republican. It's not me. It ain't me. It's a Republican that opened up an investigation that said they believe that the president and Hegseth, this radical right Trump administration, they believe that they committed murder. They committed war crimes. Not me. I ain't say they committed no war crime. I'm saying a Republican said this. Okay? What law? Just name it. I'll look it up. And if I am wrong, I will read it. I will put it on the screen that says drug dealers are supposed to be murdered instead of tried with due process. I want to know.
Let me give you a pass, an outline of things that he has said. In 2016, he said that the U.S. military will follow his illegal orders. He said something on a debate stage and was reminded that would be illegal. And he said the military will not refuse his orders, regardless of whether they're legal or not. He also talked about shooting protesters in the legs. How un-American, how unconstitutional is that? Fortunately, there was a Secretary of Defense that has stopped this. He's also talked about sending troops into U.S. cities to use those cities and people for training. I mean, we're concerned because of this president with this Secretary of Defense that we could have a significant problem. So this was a simple message, follow the law, and it was looking forward.
Well, and let me talk to you about some of what's happening right now. The Washington Post reporting that Secretary Hegseth gave an order to kill everybody on one of those suspected drug boats.
Yes, according to a Republican, according to the Republican, Pete Hegseth gave that order. No, we ain't talking about Obama. Back on up. Defend your boy. Defend your boy. Your boy gave that order. Your Republican people said this shit is illegal.
During the first strike in September, are you calling for U.S. service members to actively disobey orders like those?
Well, if orders are illegal, not only do they not have to follow them, they are legally required not to follow them.
Do you think that constitutes an illegal
order? I think
order?
there needs to be an investigation, and I hope that the reporting is not accurate. I care so much about the United States Navy and those service members. This was an operation involving the most professional members of the military, U.S. Navy SEALs, who I revere. I hope and pray that this is not true. But there needs to be an investigation by the Inspector General, Pete Hegseth.
The Republican who called for the investigation was Roger Wicker. He's a senator, Republican, on the Senate Arms Committee. Wicker, he's the one who started the investigation. Roger Wicker. I'm sorry, Roger Wicker. So he called for the investigation of Hegseth and the president's actions by killing people in those boats, people hanging on the sides of the boats, and the president breaking them off. Just kill them all. When the only gun you got is an AK-47 and everybody in the room must die.
Fired many of the inspectors general in DOD, but who's ever left needs to investigate it. We're going to investigate it. I sit on the Armed Services Committee. We're going to have an investigation. We're going to have a public hearing. We're going to put these folks under oath, and we're going to find out what happened, and then there needs to be accountability.
Let me ask you, you referenced this. You were a pilot yourself. You flew 39 combat missions over Iraq and Kuwait. You're asking officers in the field to make really tough calls about the legality of what they are being asked to do. So I want to put the question to you. If you were still in uniform, if you received an order to strike suspected drug boats overseas and kill everybody on board, would you refuse that order in real time?
Well, let me start by saying I've sunk two boats, two ships. I sunk an Osa 2 missile patrol boat in Kuwait Harbor. I sunk a Polnokny troop carrier in the Persian Gulf during the first Gulf War. Never once did I question whether those orders were legal or illegal. People can tell the difference, should be able to tell the difference between something that is unlawful and something.
He's not saying that the people who were on the mission, this mission with Donald Trump that blew up these boats, he's not going to throw them under the bus. He's not going to do that. But they did, they were people who were concerned about what this president was asking them to do when it came to this blowing up drug boats with no evidence. Nobody presented anything to the Congress. It's not a matter of enforcing law. It's a matter of going against law. I don't understand. I told y'all, I don't believe in the gaslight. You can't gaslight me. You're not going to gaslight me. Okay? You're not going to tell me this is legal when it's not. You're not going to gaslight me. A Republican opened the investigation because he said this shit don't make sense. So if this shit don't make sense to him as a Republican, them blowing up boats and not giving us evidence, if that shit don't make sense to him, it don't make sense to me. You're not finna gaslight me in any way, shape, or form. Stop doing that, Tony Tigris. Goofy, narco-terrorist sympathizer. Stop doing the goofy shit. That's called the gaslight. That's the same thing your precious leader does to you, goofy. I'm the best president ever, Tony Tigris. I'm the best president ever, Tony Tigris. I'm the best president ever, Tony Tigris. Believe me, I'm the best president ever, Tony Tigris. And then you believed him. That doesn't work on me, Tony Tigris, goofy. That repeating that stuff doesn't work on me. It works on weak-minded people like you.
That is lawful. And if I was ever given an unlawful order, I would refuse. If you have time, you can certainly go to the judge, advocate generals, the lawyers, and have a discussion about it.
They haven't presented evidence to even the Congress, Tony Tigris, who is supposed to be the ones who call for war. Congress is the one who calls for war. They haven't presented any of that to the Congress. Get your ass out of this chat, mata pendejos. You toaster.
If you don't have time, you just say simply, I'm not going to do that. That's against the law.
It puts a lot of burden on the troops to make a decision in real time.
It puts a tremendous amount of burden on officers in the military, but that is their responsibility. And they can figure out, a reasonable person can tell something that is legal and something that is illegal.
So would you refuse these specific orders to strike drug boats if you were still in uniform?
Well, the difference between the initial strike and what is being reported, as
the initial strike and what's being reported, two different things.
a second strike, and those things are different. I think this administration has tied themselves in knots. The explanations that we have received on how this is all legal. And I was saying weeks ago, my concern is with the service members, that we're gonna put these individuals in a really, really tough decision, in a tough place. And they may find out, down the road that they did something that is illegal. It is not fair to them. That's why we need.
Yes, they get down the road and they find out that that illegal strike, that initial boat strike was illegal. Yes, that's why the service members are concerned that they are doing something illegal. This is what prompted that video by Mark Kelly and the others.
Need presidents and secretary of defense who understand the Constitution.
No, don't talk about Democrats. Democrats ain't got nothing to do with this. This is your radical right president. Stop talking about the Democrats. Has nothing to do with the Democrat. Has to do with your treacherous president, your right-wing radical president who is doing illegal stuff, who is doing stuff that is going to get plenty of y'all to go to prison. Plenty of these people to go to prison. They just gonna go to prison after this. We as Democrats are gonna insist that you people who committed treason, who committed all these crimes, go to prison. We did not do that when they tried to We did not do that when they committed insurrection in 2020. We did not do that. We said, oh, let's bygone be bygone. Let's not worry about the people. No. We ain't letting y'all get away with none of that. No more. No more. When this president's tenure is over, we're going to prosecute to the full extent of the law. We're gonna raise high hell, because most of the people that are here should be going to prison. These DEI hires that he hired, incompetent staff, the most incompetent staff that ever walked in the White House, the most incompetent. Hold on. Okay. The most incompetent staff that has ever graced the halls of the Congress or been in the cabinet of a president, these DEI hires, we are going to make sure that they get prosecuted for the crimes that they have committed. We going to make sure that
Constitution, understand the rule of law, and have more respect for the Constitution and the country and service members than
you goofy Tony. Look at the polls. As I told y'all, this Tuesday is going to be a testament to how much they hate the Republicans and they hate MAGA. This Tuesday.
The whims of a president.
All right, Senator Mark Kelly, thank you so much for being here in person.
But it is what it is. You ain't got to believe me. You ain't gotta
DOJ fired 82 immigration judges. The pattern is chilling.
Oh my God!
NPR analyzed the data. 44% had defended immigrants. No prior Homeland Security work. Since January 20th, the DOJ has fired 82 immigration judges without stated cause, including 7 of the 40 assistant chief judges who run the entire system. NPR's data analysis revealed a pattern. 44% of those fired had professional backgrounds defending immigrants and no prior work at Homeland Security, suggesting the administration is systematically purging judges who might show empathy toward people in deportation proceedings.
Whatever.
They're not just changing policy, they're rigging the courts. Link in bio.
I was on the record in the middle of a hearing when I saw the email that I've been dreading for, 5 or 6 months. I just said, I'm very sorry, we're going to have to go off the record for a moment. And we went off the record. I looked at it and it said I needed to leave, turn in my laptop and badge immediately and leave. And I told the parties that I had just been fired and I'm not going to be able to conclude the hearing. And the attorneys, both for DHS and Respondents Council, said, "What? Are you joking?" And I said, "I'm not joking."
That's wild. So there's an immigrant and their lawyer sitting there looking at you?
Yeah.
San Francisco immigration judge bursts into tears as she is fired mid-hearing. A dramatic scene unfolded in a San Francisco immigration courtroom when Judge Shooting Chen received a notice of termination email in the middle of an asylum hearing. Chen, appointed in 2022, broke down in tears as she told attorneys and 3 Venezuelan siblings who had waited years for their case that she could no longer continue. Their hearing is now delayed indefinitely. Chen is one of at least 90 immigration judges fired nationwide since Trump returned to office, many with backgrounds defending immigrants. Judges say the firings are part of a push to speed up deportations and replace them with officials more likely to order removals, even as remaining judges face what Chen calls a frankly inhumane caseload. Chen, an immigrant herself, says she didn't just lose a job, she watched the disintegration of a system.
Hold on.
Green card. Starting December 2025, everything changes because I ordered it. No more chaos, no more loopholes, no more weak rules. America is taking full control. From now on, every green card case faces strict verification. One mistake, one false document, one suspicious detail, you're stopped instantly. No second chances. For years, people abuse this system. Fake papers, fake marriages, fake identities. It ends now. I've launched audits, raids, and full investigations across the country. Airports will operate under my new protocol. Mandatory facial biometrics for every traveler, men, women, and children.
See, that's the difference. See, that's the problem. You all seem to think that Democrats don't want deportation or Democrats don't want illegal people out of here. See, that's the gaslighting that people get, that gaslighting that you people are trying to give us. It's not gaslight. It's not that we don't want deportation. We would like people to come here legally too. We would like people to come here legally. The problem is your president is doing it illegally. Your president is doing it illegally. That's why we don't like what he's doing. It has nothing to do with him doing deportation. He's doing it illegally, inhumanely, and there's a problem with the way he conducts the immigration process as a whole. That's the problem we have.
Every entry, every exit, fully scanned and tracked. Your face, your history, your taxes, all checked automatically. If anything looks wrong, you're pulled out of the line on the spot. Some will complain, some will cry, but I'm not here to comfort anyone. I'm here to protect the United States. If you want a green card, follow the law, stay clean, and be ready. Because under my leadership, immigration has new rules, and they all begin in December 2025.
Breaking immigration news, the United States has paused issuing visas for Afghan passport holders and has indicated that it will halt giving asylum decisions for persons of any country until further notice. Now, respect to the pause on visa issuance for Afghans, this affects immigrant visas, non-immigrant visas, family-based consular processing, SIV cases and consular processing for those cases, anyone abroad needing a visa stamp, pretty much a total freeze on visa issuance. This was announced on the State Department's X account as well on the X account of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. There was also a separate announcement pertaining to the halting of issuing asylum decisions, and it appears as though this applies only to affirmatively filed asylum cases, meaning cases that were filed with USCIS and not cases with the Immigration Court. The Executive Office of Immigration Review, which the immigration courts are under, has not announced any such pause. So for affirmative asylum applicants, it appears as though interviews can take place, but decisions cannot be issued, which means that people who were days away or weeks away from getting a decision on their case now have to wait. Now, halting decisions in all asylum cases, regardless of nationality, raises serious statutory and constitutional questions. So I imagine that this policy will trigger massive lawsuits. Now, this all comes after the shooting of 2 National Guardsmen, which was purportedly carried out by an Afghan national. It's reported that he came into the United States in 2021 under the Biden administration and was ultimately granted asylum under the Trump administration earlier this year. In addition to the halting of asylum requests as well as pausing all visas for Afghans, the administration has announced that it's going to re-examine green card holders in the United States, as well as halt immigration benefits requests for Afghans, and threatening a pause on all third world country immigration. Last week, the administration also said that it would re-interview every refugee who came into the United States under the Biden administration. Now, to me, it's very clear that none of this is about national security, but an attempt to push an illegal immigration agenda. Now, as far as what Afghans can do right now, it's really important to stay in contact with your immigration attorney, continue to follow trusted sources, as well as stay up to date on everything that's going on. For more immigration news and information, feel free to give us a follow.
The next thing as it regards to pregnancies in the U.S. as an immigrant is if you have the baby in the hospital in the U.S., right, and you use government funds for your delivery, such as Medicaid, and you use it for your expenses, that's already a red flag. Your visa will get canceled. If you incur a medical bill and you leave and don't pay it, your visa will get canceled. 90% of the time, this happens. So say none of that happened to you, you had the baby and you came back, right? Chances are, if one of those things apply to you, the next time you're trying to enter the country, your visa will be revoked and you will be refused entry for one of those reasons. Either you use the public funds or you made a misrepresentation about knowing that you're pregnant or not. So now, and I've seen this so many times, so now you're back in your home country, You now have a U.S. citizen child that can travel freely, but the child cannot travel by themselves. How do you re-enter the country, right? Well,
here's the deal with traveling with a green card. If you go for a short trip, less than 6 months, you will be allowed to return as a returning lawful resident. And unless you're leaving the U.S. with a criminal record, or you stupidly get arrested and convicted of a crime while you're abroad, or you have drugs in your suitcase or something ridiculous like that, you're going to be allowed back in. If you stay beyond 6 months, you're now considered an arriving alien. And the government now has to determine whether or not you are lawfully residing in the United States or residing somewhere else. So if you leave the U.S. without any issues and you stay less than 6 months outside the U.S., you'll be able to return with a green card without any issues.
If you plan on applying for a green card with USCIS in the near future, please keep in mind the new country-specific factors that are going to come into play when an officer is going to decide whether or not to approve your case. So regardless of whether you are applying for a family-based green card or an employment-based green card, what these new factors or country-specific factors are going to mean is that in adjudicating your application, meaning when an officer is making the decision whether or not to approve your application, the officer can take into account whether you hold citizenship or your country of birth is one of the countries that were listed on the travel ban that was issued by this administration. So if you do fall into that category where you hold citizenship in a country that's on the travel ban list, or that's your country of birth, you could be denied a green card solely based off of the fact that you hold citizenship from one of those countries.
A federal judge has just canceled Trump's rule denying immigrants bond to get out of jail. What does this mean? Immigrants in jail can now apply to get out.
Ontario has just dropped a massive update and it's going to shock thousands of applicants. The skilled trades applications under OINP, they're now cancelled. All of them. Ontario used a new authority under Section 7 to cancel and return every single skilled trades application. Now these files, keep in mind, some of these files or some of these applicants have been waiting for over a year and a half. That's over 18 months for their decisions. And the simple reason given by OINP was that there was a large-scale systematic misrepresentation and fraud in the system, and so they decided to do something like this. Now, for people that did use fake documents or fake whatever it is, this crackdown was expected at some point, right? But there are genuinely thousands of applicants who were truthful and genuine applicants that are also going to be impacted by this decision. Now, many of them have actually maintained their statuses just because they were expecting this nomination. And many of them actually spent more money on studies just to legally maintain their status in Canada while waiting and having all the hopes high for the OINP application, which is now all shattered. I mean, all of that hope has come to an end with just a single decision from OINP. It was a necessary decision to clean up the fraud. But genuinely truthful applicants are also paying the price for this. Now, how fair is this? Let us know your comments down below.
We do not have enough manpower, ICE, or the different forces to deport everyone who is illegal in this country, who does not have a criminal record and who's helping the economy. So what do I propose? Let's bring those people out of the shadows. Those who have been here for more than 5 years. I'm not talking about those who came in under the Biden caravans. More than 5 years. Do not have a criminal record. Have been helping the economy, paying taxes, have American children. So bring them out of the shadows and give them the dignity status. That's a biblical term.
I don't understand why we can't do that. I don't understand why we can't bring people out of the shadows who have been here, who have been working, who have been doing X, Y, and Z. I don't understand why we can't do all of that. I don't understand why it's such a push to say, get them out, get them out, get them out. They not hurting you in no way. They not changing your lifestyle. You ain't getting no richer. Y'all ain't getting no richer, but just show us fuck getting poorer. You ain't getting no richer. Ain't shit changing for you. You just got to do something. You got to just make somebody else have a worse day. That's all. You just got to make somebody have a worse day than you. And it ain't changing your lifestyle, your money, no way, shape, or get them damn aliens out of here. And it ain't changing your world one way or the other.
A Judeo-Christian country. Make them pay for.
So that means if it ain't changing your way, if it ain't changing your world one way or the other, and you're sitting here hollering about get them illegals out, that means you're a shitty human being. That means you're a shitty human being. And I know a lot of y'all shitty human beings because a lot of y'all be in the chat. Get them brown people out of here, brown and black people out of here. That's why the midterms are going to be slaughters.
Their crimes. Make them pay $7,000 in retribution and levy 1% of their salary for the next 7 years. No voting rights, of course. No federal programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And then let's just come out of the shadows.
Green card.
Y'all don't want American citizens to get no damn government assistance. Tony Tiger's toaster. You don't even want the American citizens to get no assistance. What difference does it make? Just dumb.
Starting December 2025, everything changes because I ordered it. No more chaos. No more loopholes. No more weak.
Let's listen.
And
oh.
DOJ.
Shit. Okay, we already ran through this shit. Wait a minute, hold on. This is something I want to show you. I just had to show this. You know, I just had to do this one thing. Let's listen. This is for Tuesday. The Tuesday people that don't believe me. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I forgot to put them up there. I sure did. I forgot to put them up there. Here we go. Wait a minute.
There's an off-year election taking place this coming Tuesday, December 2nd, for Tennessee's 7th congressional district.
I know they voted for hate. They voted for cruelty and hatred. And this is the Christians. You all hit the like, share, and subscribe button, please and thank you. We have this content every day. We always come up with something we could talk about because the world is always ever changing. And we always have a radical right-wing president who does radical right-wing things. They voted for cruelty. They voted to be cruel to somebody else. Only when it hit their family or hit close to home did they understand the impossibility that they had put people in. They voted for. These are Christians now. These are all Christians, right? These are those evangelical goofy Mormons. They all voted for this cruelty, right? But voted for this cruelty. Don't want to hear nothing about amnesty. Don't want to hear none of that. Just that's why I say these are not good people. Not at all. Not good people at all.
District. A new member will be elected to the House of Representatives, and Republicans are freaking the hell out. District 7 in Tennessee is a district that Donald Trump won just a little over a year ago by 22 points. This is a district that has voted Republican for decades. It is basically one of the safest GOP districts in the country, certainly in the state of Tennessee. And yet Republicans are still freaking out because they now think they could lose that seat. And here's why. According to the latest polling data coming out of that district, that 22-point margin that Trump enjoyed last year has completely evaporated down to zero.
Because they can't stand Donald Trump. People can't stand him. Some of it personal, some of it professional, some of it because he's a president. I get all that. I just think he's a shitty human being. That is just me. And he has a radical agenda. That's just me. That's why his rating or his approval rating is at a 37%. But you go ahead.
The race between the Democrat and Republican is now a statistical tie. And I say statistical tie instead of actual tie because technically the Republican is 2 points ahead, 48% to 46%. However, because the margin of error is greater than 2%, that is what we call a statistical tie in the realm of political polling data. So a 22-point lead a year ago for the GOP has turned into a 0-point lead in a deep red Tennessee district.
That's what I keep telling the goofies. I keep telling them that it's going to be a slaughter for these Republicans because they're very, very unpopular. Their radical agenda is unpopular. This president is doing too much. The president is doing things that are illegal. This president, nobody likes this president except Republicans. And only the Republicans, with them just voting for you, you can't win.
That is crucial for Republicans. Here's why. You have
all the evidence says something different, but this is what the gaslighting is about. They think the right and the MAGAs and all them goofy people think if they keep saying it, it's going to make it true because their dear leader said it to them 5 times. And when their dear leader said it to them 5 times, they were weak-minded enough to keep falling for it. But they think other people can fall for the goofy shit, but we don't.
218 Republicans in the House of Representatives. Marjorie Taylor Greene is leaving. Reports are telling us, or insiders are telling us, I should say, more Republican resignations are coming.
Because they can see the writing on the wall. They understand that they're going to lose in a landslide. This Tuesday fight, talk about this Tuesday fight. Please talk about this Tuesday fight. In a deep red state. IVAR, I think you need medication.
Next year. And in fact, we typically do see a lot of resignations or retirement announcements at the beginning of the year. And when I say a lot, 3, 4 maybe. But this is a Republican Party in Congress that cannot afford to lose Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Richard Crosby, please explain the 36% new second term low, 36% approval rating. Donald Trump and his policies are on the ballot. Please explain it to the goofies in the chat. 36% approval rating for this president. They hate him.
Green, and then maybe 1, 2, 3 other people. And then add into that, perhaps one with that Tennessee congressional seat. And if they lose all of that, Mike Johnson's no longer Speaker of the House. That would likely go to Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat. Democrats could control the House of Representatives next year. But that's a bit of a long shot, okay? I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. I don't want anybody saying, but Farron said Democrats are going to control it on January 1st. Like, not saying they will. I'm saying there is a good possibility they could at some point next year. But that's not even the important thing. Even if the Democrat loses this race in Tennessee's 7th district, if they overperform, and by the way, it's a Democrat named Afton Bain, I believe it is. So,
oh yeah, I dropped the link in the chat. For anybody who wants to come up and say what they want to say. Because I'm always wrong. So I dropped the link for anybody who wants to come up and say X, Y, and Z. There you go. I'm sorry. Y'all excuse me. Here we go. Hold on. Let me put it in the chat. Let me put it in the chat. Anybody who wants to come up and say why there's not going to be a slaughter for you Republicans, please explain it.
If Afton wins,
If the Democrat wins,
Democrats will have 216 to 218 on the Republicans. Republicans could not afford a single defection all next year. That's massive. If the Republican wins, but the Democrat is 2-3 points away, that is almost equally as devastating to the Republicans.
yes, please explain it to him. Please explain it to him. It doesn't matter whether she wins or loses. It matters whether she gets within 5 points. If she gets within Afton Bain, if she gets within 5 points of winning this Tuesday, it's over for you Republicans. They hate your party. They don't want to debate. I'm not debating. I want all the goofies in the chat. I want the people in the chat who keep saying to me that I'm wrong to come up and tell me why I'm wrong. That's all. Come up and tell me why I'm wrong. That people don't like this right-wing radical president. I appreciate you, wet popcorn, for $2. MAGA can't debate. I appreciate it.
Because it will show not only a roughly 20-point loss in the district from what they had a year ago, but it will be proof, more proof for them, because they seem to be hard at getting the proof that's already been given to them.
See, 23B rad, this is the gaslighting that you guys always do. We on the left don't believe in the gaslighting. We just believe in saying the facts. Now, you all, on the other hand, are see, you know how I know y'all you on the goofy side is because y'all don't believe that the stats that say your president's approval rating is 38%. You don't believe that. That's how I know that you all don't believe anything I say. And that's how I know there's something going on with your side of the aisle, because you don't believe the stat. You can go to any chat, any podcaster show, any podcaster show that will show the stats, and they will show you that the president's approval rating is under 40. But y'all don't want to believe that. So you can't debate. Y'all only debate the goofy shit. Like gays and trans and people in the bathroom and brown immigration and Islamophobia. That's all y'all know how to debate. You don't know how to debate anything because y'all don't stand for nothing.
That the voters are rejecting conservatism. They're rejecting Republican politicians. They're rejecting Republican policies. They're rejecting all of it.
No, they don't believe you. They don't believe you that they're being rejected, sir. They don't believe that you're being rejected, sir. They don't believe it. They don't believe Trump.
And if you don't think it's possible, 2 red districts in Mississippi flipped in early.
They don't care about that. Oh, you mean to tell me those are not deep blue states? The Mississippi is not a blue state? Blue people vote for blue people. Really? Isn't that what they told me in the chat? They told me blue votes for blue. But how do they explain Mississippi voting for blue? I don't understand.
Early November to Democrats. Deep red districts Republicans had held for years. Up north, a Republican area that had been Republican for over 100 years flipped to blue. Georgia, deep
100 years flipped to blue. It's going to be a bloodbath.
red state, just like Mississippi, maybe not quite as red as Mississippi, but close. 2 statewide seats went to Democrats. We're seeing the impossible already happen in this country. We've seen it literally this month, folks. So anything is possible. But even if the Democrat doesn't win that Tennessee race, like I said, closing that gap is just more proof that Republicans are in serious, serious danger.
No, they ain't. No, they ain't. All the goofy goose in my chat, all the MAGA people in my chat keep saying they ain't in trouble. They the best. They got the best party that's going on. They got the best party that's going on. That's what they say, sir. That's what they say.
And next year's midterms could be an absolute electoral bloodbath for the GOP. Hey, everyone.
But they don't believe us. Here's the thing, and this is what I tell you, how I know that they're scared that they're gonna lose. You know that race on this Tuesday. You know how I know they scared? Because the president and Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, are having a teleconference, a tele-rally in Tennessee. They finna hold a tele-rally in Tennessee because they're afraid that they're going to lose on Tuesday. Yes, don't worry about it. It's coming, Robbie Gibbs. Here it is. Y'all see that? It's that bad. Trump holds emergency rally in deep red district. Why would he need to do that when he won that state by 22 points? He needs to win that seat because he knows it's coming. This bloodbath is coming for the Republicans. That's why he's there. Why the hell would he be? Why the hell? He won it for 22 points. He won it with 22 points. Why does he need to go back there? Because he knows the Republicans, the radical right Republican agenda is being rejected. Yeah, you're delusional. If you think this is not a sign of desperation, you're delusional, Tony Tigris.
Saturday, November 20th.
Then again, I keep saying that y'all delusional, the ones that keep following Donald Trump. But hey, it is we're winning. We're winning. This Donald Trump telling y'all MAGAs and telling y'all goofy Republicans. We're winning, y'all. We winning, y'all. Don't believe nothing the polls say. Don't believe nothing them left-wing radicals say. We're winning. We're winning. We're winning. We're winning. Say it 30 times and they'll believe you.
29th, 2025. And today we are going to be talking about Tennessee's 7th congressional district, as Republicans are now jumping
everything to the contrary. We're winning. Hey, y'all, MAGA, we're winning. We're winning. We're winning. Don't believe none of the left-wing people. We're winning. That's wild. That's wild.
Into this race in an effort to save them in a district that voted for the president by over 20 points in the last presidential election cycle. Tennessee's 7th congressional district, which has a surprise vacancy out of the district here, currently represented, or I guess previously represented by Mark Green, decided that he was going to be left office in July of 2025, was there for the vote for Donald Trump's quote-unquote one big beautiful bill. And it prompted a special election this upcoming December, in just a few days actually, that Republicans have been shockingly worried about. And I say shockingly, not just for, not.
Yes, Robbie Gibbs. Those seats were never turned. It has been decades since those seats turned blue. That's why it's a bloodbath, because it's been decades since those seats turned blue. Now you should know, as a person from Mississippi, when a seat that has been red for decades turns blue, that means they're coming for you. And you still on the goofy train? And you see it in your state, a red, deeply red state, 2 seats turn blue. Come on.
Not to try to exaggerate the stakes of this election, this is a race that absolutely nobody should have been paying attention to. And I mean that earnestly, because this is a congressional district that in the last presidential cycle not only voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly, but in all of their statewide races, you could not find any sign of cracking for Republicans in this district. It's drawn in such a way that elected Marsha Blackburn, reelected her to the U.S. Senate. She's now running for governor in the.
And you know what, Blockstar? I know you're lying because I remember looking at the polls and I remember listening to all the people, and they didn't say anything about a blue wave. When Donald Trump won, nobody said anything about a blue wave. So I know you're lying. Okay? Nobody said anything about a blue wave this time. Everybody was surprised about the blue wave. So I know you're lying.
The volunteer state, but she won by 22 points, and so did the Republican Mark Green, who has been representing this district for quite a period of time. He actually replaced Marsha Blackburn, to my knowledge, in this race when she ran in 2018. But he's been here, right? He's been serving in Congress. He's a known and trusted incumbent. And again, this is an overwhelmingly conservative district.
That's the crazy part, Rainbow Kid. Our leadership right now is trash. Our leadership is trash. We don't have any leader. We don't have a standout candidate. Our platform is in disarray. We don't have nothing, and yet we killing their red states. And yet we're killing their red states. Why would the president feel the need to have an emergency rally in a deep red district unless he felt like they were going to lose? That's only logical. I'm not going to say that again. Only goofy goofies don't understand what that means.
Correct. And so knowing that, we saw that this district was going to be up in 2025. It was going to have a December special election, and Democrats were cautiously optimistic about what they might be able to get close to, but never really felt that this seat was within reach. Then Emerson College came out with a brand new poll just this past week showing that Democrat Afton Bain, who's a state representative, she's in this race and is running on the Democratic ticket here to win, and she's down roughly 2 points across the district. Now, keep in mind, again, this is a Trump plus 20 district. In no circumstance should this race even be competitive. And to just give you an idea of what would be necessary on the national level.
You need to say that again, sir. Did you just say in no way, shape, or form should this race be competitive? In no way, shape, or form should this race be competitive? Yet and still, Afton Bain is kicking that ass. Go, girl. Go, girl. If she gets within 5 points of winning, it's over for you Republicans. They are rejecting this radical right agenda en masse. If she gets within 5 points of losing or winning, it's over. Thank you, Wet Popcorn, $2, please. Keep those red hats on just like the Germans on. Shut up, boy.
For this district to go to the Democratic Party, you would see that on the national stage, you would need to shift the map by roughly 22 points. Well, if that happens, Tennessee's 7th district would be the last of concerns for the Republican Party.
There you go. That's the map of 2024, I think. That's the map. You see over here, Tennessee is over here. Y'all see that, right? Y'all see that red, all that red for Tennessee, right? And yet it's deep red. And yet we see Afton Bain of Tennessee 7 kicking that ass. Oh, we good, Jim Rat. We good. We finna take over the House. And then we finna take over the Senate. And then your president is really going to be investigated. You see, mostly looks right. You see that? So how is it that in a deep red state that Afton Bain, a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, is kicking the ass of that Republican maggot? Why is that? Because they're rejecting right-wing radicalism, right-wing radical agenda all over the United States.
Democrats would be at 291 seats on the national level. This would be the most substantial Democratic majority they've seen in a century, and it would be one that would usher in absolutely the most massive Democratic mandate they've seen in history, at least in recent memory. And
I need you to get the hell on, Og Skull Kid. We need you with your brain rot to get the hell on. Because anybody who walks into the chat knows I'm going to tell the truth. Our Democratic Party ain't shit. Ain't shit, ain't got no leader, ain't got no message, ain't got jack shit. But they still beating your blue ass because they're rejecting the radical right agenda in math. So everybody who knows me knows I am a left person, not a far left. I'm a middle of the road left. So if I'm middle of the road and I'm saying this country don't have shit for leadership on the right or the left, none of the parties are representing what they're supposed to be representing, that's the truth. You Republicans don't stand on anything. You've never stand on anything. The only thing you want to do is hold power and then steal money. That's the only thing the right wing wants to do. Hold power and steal money. That's it. So the world is rejecting that stance that you have because nobody's pushing back on this radical president. That's the problem. Yes, you got to listen to me. I'm hilarious. I am funny as hell. And I can't wait to see the results on Tuesday. That's going to be even more hilarious against you blue maggots.
So Tennessee's 7th district, again, I only say this to show you just how drastic the map would have to swing in order for this district normally to be competitive and go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need you all to put in the chat what the big beautiful bill did for you poor people. What did the big beautiful bill do to you poor people? Because that's the one thing I need to know. I need to know what the big beautiful bill did for you people who make between 30 and 150K. I really need to know that. Because you all seem to say the Republicans are so good for people, so good for people, so good for the United States. I need you to put in the chat what this president has done for people between the salaries of 30,000 and 150K. I need to know that because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet. Nobody has seen it. That's why they're rejecting this president outright and his radical right agenda. People care about food, beef, farmers getting screwed, Americans getting screwed, putting America first. This is what we care about. We don't care about taxes. Taxes only apply for the rich. It only benefits the rich. It doesn't benefit you poor suckers. Because you keep coming in here talking about, oh, we got a tax cut. No, the fuck you didn't. No, the fuck you didn't. And if you keep saying that shit, you dumb as hell. Only people got tax cuts is the rich people. Shut your ass up.
Go to the Democratic Party. But Donald Trump and Mike Johnson are now handling a number of campaign events, including a tele-rally for Republicans in this House race, because Donald Trump and the GOP are very worried about what's happening here in Tennessee's 7th. In fact, it was so bad, I covered this last week, that Donald Trump's own super PAC, which has not spent a single dollar.
Ain't sent a single dollar. Ain't sent a single dollar to help nobody in Tennessee. All of a sudden, everybody in the Republican Party starting to send money. Everybody in the Republican Party starting to do teleconference calls. Everybody in the Republican Party is running over Tennessee because they see that girl is rolling. That girl is knocking fire from y'all. Afton Bear is knocking fire from Tennessee 7 because your failing policies are getting rejected. That's why. If she comes within 5 points of winning or losing, that means you Republicans are losing.
On any race since Donald Trump was elected president for the second time. They jumped into the Tennessee special election recently and are now going to be contributing and have been contributing to the millions of dollars that have been spent in this House special election. Again, that was on nobody's radar until the 2025 elections. And so the fact is, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson going into this race show that the Republican Party is quite desperate about what's happening in this district. There are plenty of congressional districts that the president hasn't even surveyed, including ones that have been far more competitive in years past. Because the president has limited time. I get it, right? This is a busy person. You have so much to do, and campaigning for a special election in a district you won by 20 is probably the least of your concerns. But the fact that Donald Trump is making time for it and that Mike Johnson is going to be spending the entire day and few days leading up to, I'm sure he's already there, going to Tennessee and rallying against Afton Bain in this race.
That means they're scared they're going to lose on their radical agenda. Yeah, they must. Hey, no, that makes perfect sense because you don't know what you're talking about, alpha specs, because you're just a regular, ordinary idiot citizen because you don't know what you mean. Donald Trump won that seat with 22 points, 22-point margin. Why would he need to go back in there and have a teleconference if they were so secure in the win? Alpha Specs toaster, because they know they're losing. Because they know they're losing. That little girl whooped that ass. If she wins or loses by 5 points, it's over for you Republicans. It's over.
Is an indication that this district in particular is of unique interest to Republicans for arguably the same reason.
I'm going to be all day clown, Michael Corwell, but y'all going to be even more of a clown when she wins by what she wins or loses by what she loses. All day, I'll be a clown, but your president is even a bigger clown because he's losing the whole Republican Party for you. That's the real clown. What does it say when people follow a clown down the rabbit hole? You find the maggots down there, don't you?
That it is for Democrats, that this race is going to be shockingly competitive. And I think that Emerson College sort of confirmed our understanding of that. I do think Republicans, and I've maintained this throughout the cycle, I do believe Matt Van Epps will be the next congressman from this district. I don't think Tennessee 7th is going to flip. It's very hard to see that a Trump plus 22 district, especially as it becomes a more nationalized race, ends up being more in favor of the Democratic Party than we think. I think.
Oh, yeah, we believe the Republican is going to win. The whole point is, if she wins within 5 points, that means Tennessee and everything else this president has going is going to be a problem for you. We are rejecting this president's radical agenda. Everything he stands for, everything he has done has been to undermine America. He's not America first. He's on a radical agenda. We reject his agenda. It just is what it is. So I am going to be the clown from here on out, Michael Corwell, until we stifle this president come 2026. I am going to be that clown. Amen.
That it's going to see the pretty natural 15-point swing, roughly, that brings it down to the high single digits, maybe even lower, maybe on the upper end of double digits. We'll see. But I still think Matt Van Epps is going to win, and probably by a pretty okay margin. But that shouldn't even be a consideration. This is a district that should be called.
It shouldn't even be in play. This seat should not even be in play. But it is, because people have rejected this president and his radical right agenda.
Poll closing should be called immediately and should be in a position that nobody thinks is even remotely competitive. As has been the case with many of these districts in the past, Tennessee's 7th district is one that Matt Van Epps, as a Republican, should be clobbering a Democrat like Afton Bain. And I don't say that to try to discredit the campaign. I mean, I just say it like a Democrat. It doesn't matter what type of Democrat, whether you're endorsed by who, you've campaigned how. This district should not be on anybody's radar. And if it does end up going to the Democratic Party, which I think there's a reason why Trump and Mike Johnson are getting involved, their internal data that might not be publicly available must tell us something and must say something that makes them worried about the current state of this district. There's a reason why the president is taking time away from whatever he does and is going to this district and saying, you need to vote. There's a reason why he's putting out multiple Truth Social posts on the national stage to try to elevate the attention of this race, because they are worried that Republicans will be caught sleeping at the wheel. It's not that Republicans believed adamantly that all of their voters that backed them in the last cycle by 22 points have suddenly changed their minds. I don't agree that that's the case. Persuasion is part of it, but the majority of what we've seen in terms of Democratic vote share has come from who has turned out versus who has not. And in most cases, it has been Democrats turning out at a far higher rate than Republicans. And the early voting data also tells us that Democrats are turning out at a far higher rate than Republicans. This district, though, still has the majority of the early vote coming from the GOP. It is a Republican district. That should be the case. But Democrats, again, are turning out at a higher rate, substantially higher than 2024, not in terms of raw vote number, but by percentage of early voters. And that's, again, estimated model. Tennessee doesn't have one-to-one voter registration the way you would expect in other states. But it is something that the data analysts who have been surveying this race have shown us, and the GOP also knows about this too. There was a leaked memo that talked about how, they feel okay about their current status. But okay does not bring in the president and the Speaker of the House. Okay does not warrant first-time spending in a super PAC when Donald Trump is also holding similar tele-rallies in Virginia and New Jersey to try to get out the vote for Republican candidates there. Because you would not be spending money in a race you did not think you needed to.
Yes. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. They would not be spending money in a rally or race if they didn't think they were. Look at this post from the president. I am asking all American First Patriots in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District who haven't voted yet to please get out and vote on Election Day, Tuesday, December 2nd, for a phenomenal candidate, Matt Van Epps. Matt is fighting against a woman who hates Christianity. Here go that fear tactic that these radical right Republicans like to say. She's against Christianity. She's a devout Christian. Goofy president talking goofy. We'll take away your guns, goofy. She owns plenty of guns. She's in Tennessee. She's an avid gun person. Goofy people talking about she don't like guns. Wants open borders, all lies. Transgender for everybody. There you go. All of the things that the Republicans are good at. Coming up with the cultural bullshit. Open borders, transgender, how many people in the bathroom, what person do you know, a man or a woman? All of these things that this president is coming up with. Men and women sports, okay, that's the good one right there. And open disdains countrymen. She said all of these things precisely and without question. It's on tape. Do not take this race for granted. Of course, why would you need to fight for a race if you won it by 22 points? Why would you need to fight for a race if you won it by 22 points? This president is on Truth Social writing about a state that he won by 22 points. Why is he out there fighting for a state in which he won 22 points? It should be a no-brainer for him. Get out and vote for Matt Van Epps, who has my complete and total endorsement. He will never let you down. Why would you need to be fighting for a state in which you won it by 22 points? Okay? That's wild. It's wild. They know that they're losing. Their agenda is losing. They know that their agenda is radical for most people. Most people don't believe in this radical agenda that this president has put forward. Most people do not want this radical agenda that this president is trying to force upon all of us American people. We do not believe this radical agenda. We do not want this radical agenda. We've said it multiple times. We're going to say it from here on out. We don't want this radical agenda.
For the GOP in the 2025 election cycle, Democrats look poised for major gains as the 2026 midterms approach. In this video, we'll be taking a look at where things currently stand and the latest polls from every competitive race. Be sure to watch until the end, as there are 3 states that look to flip for the first time in any of my prediction videos. We'll begin by filling out the solid states for both parties and then work our way up into the competitive races. As always, I'll start off with the solid blue states. The solid blue states remain the same and include Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, Illinois, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Delaware. For the solid red states, we have some changes. We have Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and South Carolina. One unique case this cycle is Nebraska, which is actually projected to elect independent candidate Dan Osborne rather than a Republican. With all the solid states filled out, the Democrats stand at 42 seats, and the Republicans stand at 45 seats, and independents actually pick up 1 seat this election cycle. We will now move on to the likely seats. Let's start with the likely blue seats. These include Virginia and New Hampshire, where Democrats are strongly favored to win. On the Republican side, the likely seats are Alaska and Florida. Both states continue to lean comfortably towards the GOP, with Florida in particular becoming a more reliably Republican stronghold since the late 2010s. Next, we'll move on to the lean states for both parties. These are states where one party has a noticeable advantage, but the race is still competitive enough to shift if the environment changes. We'll start with our first lean blue state, Georgia.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all.
After a disastrous performance for the GOP,
Wait a minute.
be sure to watch Oregon, Kansas,
Sorry.
rather than Democrats stand at 2 seats, pick up 1 seat
Sorry,
in New
y'all.
Hampshire, where Democrats are strongly favored Republican stronghold since the late 2010s. Next, we'll move on to the lean states for both parties. These are states where one party has a noticeable advantage, but the race is still competitive enough to shift if the environment changes. We'll start with our first lean blue state, Georgia. Jon Ossoff is gearing up for his first re-election bid since flipping the seat in the 2021 runoff. This time around, the Republican field is crowded and uncertain. With Brian Kemp officially stepping aside, the GOP has several contenders but no clear conscience pick. Early polling shows Ossoff holding small but steady leads over most Republican candidates, thanks in part to strong fundraising and high name recognition. The GOP challengers are trying to break out and define themselves before the primary. With Georgia continuing to trend towards razor-thin statewide margins, Ossoff enters a race with a narrow advantage, but the state still remains highly competitive. For now, Georgia leans Democratic, but only slightly. Our next lean blue state is North Carolina.
Hey, Pan.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. What brings you to my channel? What's
Well,
happening?
actually, it's the title that I wanted to speak about, but I don't
Oh,
want to.
okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I'll be honest. Now, to answer the question directly,
Mm-hmm.
the question is, can a foreigner, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, because I can't see it right now, but
Mm-hmm.
can a foreigner be loyal to the U.S.? Is that essentially the question?
Yeah, I had to ask myself that question, and I question whether they can or not. So you tell me what you think.
Yes. Well, if the question is, can they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But is it most likely that they will be loyal to the US? The answer is definitely no.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural for a human being to have loyalty to their nation of origin, even if they move to another nation. This is why when foreigners
Absolutely.
come to the US,
Mm-hmm.
they settle in what they call ethnic enclaves, where they live around people that are from their nation of origin and they build communities with people from their nation of origin and they
Mm-hmm.
build businesses with people from their nation of origin. So since, and I say this in closing,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope you don't kick me off for saying this, but it's not to trick you.
Well.
Since foreigners most likely will not have a loyalty to the US,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with Trump pausing all immigration from the third world. And I
Mm-hmm.
think he needs to expand the pause to all nations outside of the US. There should be a permanent immigration ban in the US right now. We need it.
So why won't he do? Why won't he do a permanent immigrant? Why not? Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do a permanent ban, we want to find out who is here, who gets kicked out, and we cannot do that when we have people coming in every day. So yes,
Yes,
let's do a permanent ban on people coming in. We do a permanent ban,
exactly.
find out who the hell is here, and move those people, those criminals, and all them people out. I agree.
And I'm glad we are in agreement. I'll say this in closing, and thanks for having me up. Everyone listening, on your own behalf, not on my behalf, not because I'm telling you to do it, on your own behalf, call Congress, call Senate, call the Supreme Court, call the Vice President's office, call Trump's office, and demand a permanent immigration ban, not just on particular countries, ban all foreign nationals from immigrating to the U.S. And
So
really,
why do you say a permanent? Why not a pause right now? A pause for at least until we can figure out who's here and who's not. Why not just a pause? Why do you say permanent?
the reason I say permanent, and I'm glad you asked me this, the reason I say a permanent immigration ban
Mhm.
is because, in my estimation, we already allowed too many immigrants in legally and illegally to the
Mhm.
point where we, as descendants of U.S. chattel slaves,
Mhm.
our communities are being eradicated due to mass immigration.
Mhm.
Cities where we used to be the majority, we are no longer the majority, partially due to mass immigration. So no, we don't need any more immigrants in the U.S. And just to show that I'm not xenophobic, I also can articulate how a permanent immigration ban in the U.S. will
Mhm.
benefit the third world. The way that it will benefit the third world is it will, I would say force, but I won't say force because they could go to another country. They could go to Canada, the UK, etc. But many of the people that would have came to the US
Mhm.
will be encouraged to stay in their countries of origin and develop their countries of origin. Or in other words, if less Nigerians leave Nigeria and come to the US, they
Mhm.
can stay in Nigeria and develop Nigeria. If less Somalians, if less Mexicans, if less El Salvadorians, less Vietnamese, etc., 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 if less of them leave their country and they stay in their countries of origin, it is my belief that they have the ability to build a country that may be better than the US, but
Mhm.
we'll never know if they continue to run away.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So I'm
see
not
you.
a I'm yeah, I'm not a hater at all. I'm not a hater at all.
I mean, I see your point of view. I don't agree on every aspect of it, but I do agree that we need to have a pause on all people coming here until we figure out what we're going to really realistically do with the people that we have here. Are we trying to get rid of the people that are here? Are we doing more screening for the people that are here? See, what I have a problem with is when you come and then you get into a group of your people and then you start to discriminate or eradicate the rest of us, or you grow and you grow and you grow and you grow, and then sort of like example, the people in, where is that, Dearborn, Dear,
Exactly. Exactly.
those people are afraid because they have been migrating over time, over time. And I get it. I get it. You're here. You have assimilated. You've gotten in the country, and you're here. I'm all for you being here. I'm all for you doing that. But can you have complete and utter loyalty to the United States? I don't think so, because you're from another country and you were born there. You have some kind of affinity for your home country.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm glad you brought up Dearborn as an example. This is the last thing I'll say before I drop down. When
Mhm.
I hear about Dearborn, Michigan, I think about the historic Black American communities that
Mhm.
used to exist in Dearborn that are now eradicated because they have been flooded by foreigners. They have been outnumbered by
Mhm.
foreigners to the point now that if you
Mhm.
look at Dearborn City Council, there
Mhm.
is not one Black American. Now we have to acknowledge that what has happened in Dearborn can happen in any city throughout the U.S. It may not be Arabians that take over your city. It may be Mexicans. It may
Mhm.
be Chinese people. It may be Japanese, South Koreans, etc., etc., etc. Oh,
Mhm.
this is really the last sentence before I drop down. I'm
Okay.
from Howard County, Maryland. If you look up Howard County, Maryland, you'll know that Benjamin Banneker was
Mhm.
born in Ellicott City, Maryland. This is a fact.
Mhm.
The plantation where Benjamin Banneker was born is now a Korea town, literally.
Mm.
Exactly.
Oh
So we
wow.
have to wake up. Yeah, anyone listening, just fact check me. Look that up. Look up Ellicott City, Maryland, Koreatown, and then look up where Benjamin Banneker was born at. This
Mm.
is irrefutable. So my point is, yes, many of us we feel like we are being benevolent to these foreigners by welcoming them into our communities and
Mhm.
allowing them to take over. But we are not being benevolent to our future generations. We are literally giving the communities that we were supposed to give to our future generations as an inheritance. We are giving our future generations inheritance to foreigners. It's treasonous what we are doing. Really.
Wow. So do you think that we should? Somebody asked in the chat. Do you think we should that all Americans across the world? Do you think they need to get out and come home?
I'm glad you asked me that. No, actually, I encourage the opposite. I encourage Americans to buy real estate in all of the countries that immigrants come to the U.S. from. Just as immigrants have come to the U.S. and they have gotten U.S. government jobs, they have become police officers, they are in Congress, they are in Senate. U.S. citizens, Americans, people that are ethnically American, people whose ancestors founded the US, we need to go to foreign nations and get government jobs in their nations and advocate for legislation that benefits other Americans in those countries.
Mhm.
Really. That's what I really and not only do I believe that, for disclosure, I own real estate in foreign nations. So I'm only suggesting that we do what foreigners are doing in the US right now. If you see Mexicans in the US, go buy real estate as a U.S. American. Go buy real estate in Mexico. You see
Mhm.
South Koreans in the U.S. Go buy real estate and start businesses in South Korea. That's why I love the Passport Brothers movement because they are organically doing what foreigners are doing in the US. These passport brothers, they are going to these foreign nations and buying real estate and starting businesses. And these are black Americans. So
Mhm.
that's my suggestion. That's the answer to that question. No, we should not come home at all. Not to say don't come home at all. No, if you are in a foreign nation and you are American, you ain't got to come back home because these foreigners in the US, they not trying to leave. Matter of
Mm.
fact, they in the streets crying right now
Yeah.
because some of them are getting deported.
Mm.
Really.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Don't get mad, get even. That's what I say. But much love to you, HQ, and thanks for
All right.
having me up.
Thank you,
Peace.
Pan. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming up. All right. All right. We heard from a fellow American. He said this is what we think. We should have a ban. I think we should have a ban only because we need to find out who we have in this country right now. We need to find out who's here, who's not, what their intentions are. I get all of that. I do. I do. But there's no way you can get rid of this many millions of people, just by kicking people out. You have to have and the whole point is there's people who've been here for decades, years. They should have an opportunity in order to stay if they're not criminals, if they're not harming the United States, if they done the right thing. I think there should be an opportunity there. You shouldn't kick them out just because they're foreign. You shouldn't kick them out because of that. If they've been here for decades, they've been here for years, they should have an opportunity to stay. Just like everybody else, they should have an opportunity to stay. Okay? And this is my thought process on them. So let me finish this right here. Let me finish this map.
The North Carolinian Senate seat opened up after Senator Tom Tillis decided not to run again, creating one of the biggest opportunities for Democrats in the Southeast. Former Governor Roy Cooper stepped into the race early and immediately and became one of the most recognizable names in the field. He enters with strong favorability and has a long record in statewide leadership. Republicans are lining up behind Michael Whatley, the RNC chairman and a major ally of President Donald Trump. Whatley has strong backing within the GOP, but still needs to boost his statewide visibility. Polling at this stage shows Cooper with a moderate lead, but plenty of undecided voters remain. With both candidates expected to raise massive amounts of money, North Carolina is shaping up to be one of the most expensive Senate races of 2026. However, Cooper stands out with the lead as of now, and for the first time in years, North Carolina's Senate looks to flip Democratic. Our final lean blue state is Minnesota. With Tina Smith stepping away from the Senate, Minnesota became an open Senate race for the first time in years. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan entered early and is currently the strongest candidate on the Democratic side. Republicans have several contenders, though none have yet consolidated support or shown an ability to significantly cut into Minnesota's Democratic lean. While Minnesota is known for close statewide races, its fundamentals still slightly favor Democrats, and early ratings continue to reflect that. The state goes into the lean blue column for now. Now, let's move on to the lean states for the Republicans. Our first lean red state is Texas. Senator John Cornyn is preparing for another run, though his standing within the GOP has shifted somewhat in recent years. Democrats continue to make gains in urban.
Put your information in the chat, Pan. Put your information in the chat. Your channel. Put your channel in the chat, okay?
And suburban areas.
If you got a channel, put your channel in the chat.
But Republicans retain an early statewide advantage. Early signs point to a competitive but still Republican-leaning race, with Cornyn or any other GOP nominee starting ahead. The next lean red state is Ohio. Ohio has moved towards the GOP in recent cycles, but Democrats continue to keep an eye on it, especially depending on who enters the race. Republicans have a strong bench, while Democrat chances hinge heavily on whether Sherrod Brown can rally voters that he won in the past. For now, it's looking like Ohio will lean Republican, but it still remains in the competitive conversation. And our final lean red state, at least in past projections, was Maine, but this time things have changed. Right. Susan Collins is facing growing pressure from both the approval numbers and the emerging Democratic field. Democrats have a more unified effort this cycle and are treating Maine as a top-tier target.
You all hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We have this content every day. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button, please, and thank you.
While Collins still has her base of support, the political movement in this state suggests a much tighter race than in previous years. As a result, Maine moves out of the lean Republican category and into the tilt Democratic, marking.
Yeah, because we tired of her. We tired of her. Okay.
A notable flip as we head into.
We tired of Miss Collins.
To the most competitive states. We are now down to our final two states, the states of Iowa and Michigan. Iowa was not expected to be particularly competitive until Senator Joni Ernst announced she would not seek another term. That instantly transformed the race into one of the biggest opportunities for Democrats in the Midwest. Ashley Hinson jumped into the Republican primary with a strong early lead and key endorsements, but Democrats quickly rallied around a field that performed better than many expected, especially in the suburbs and mid-sized cities.
Yes.
As new polling emerged, Democrats began to gain traction with a message focused on economic issues and bipartisan appeal. In this updated prediction, Iowa looks to flip towards the Democrats, marking another one of the surprising shifts this cycle. And finally, we arrive at Michigan, one of the most important battlegrounds of 2026. With Gary Peters retiring, both parties face a wide-open race in a state that continues to swing between the parties. Democrats currently have an edge thanks to their control of statewide offices and a strong party organization. Republicans, however, view this seat as one of their best opportunities to pick up a battleground state, especially after their presidential win here in 2024. Michigan remains highly competitive, and this race could go either way depending on the eventual nominees. For now, the state leans Democratic, but it is absolutely one of the closest contests on the entire map. And there you have it. For the first time ever, Democrats are projected to win the Senate in 2026. With all states filled out, Democrats hold 50 seats, Republicans hold 49, and independents hold 1. That gives Democrats a net gain and puts them in a stronger position heading into 2026. If you enjoyed this video, please like.
So this is what we're looking at. Simply because the president fumbled the ball. He fumbled the ball on this immigration. He fumbled the ball on deportation. He fumbled the ball on how he treated Americans. He kept putting America last. He fumbled the ball by having 1,000 times that we hit the war path. We're involved with wars. He's fumbled the ball on practically everything that he has done. Now they're in the courts trying to decide whether they're going to let the tariffs stand or not. That's the whole thing. They're going to they're trying to see if they want his tariffs to stand. I don't know whether they're going to stand. I don't know whether any of these things are true or whether he's going to be able to put a ban on X, Y, and Z. I do know he keeps saying, let's stop Biden's auto pen. He can't stop anything that Biden signed as an auto pen, specifically not his pardons. And those are the only thing that count. Everything else, most administrations turn around. Most administrations turn things around from what the president signed on day one. But no, actually he can't. He can't change pardons. And he can't change commutations. He can't do those two things with the auto pen. He can do probably everything else, but he can't change pardons or auto pen or commutations. It is what it is. So we sit here and we figure out what we're going to do with this radical right president. He's continuing to do all of his information. He's continuing to do all of his radical thinking on the fly. He posts on social media, and then this is where we get our news. I don't understand what's going on. No pushback from the Republicans because they don't stand on anything. The Republicans never stand on anything. They let this president get away with everything. It's okay with them. Whatever the president has done, it's okay for them. It's okay by them, which tells me the president can shit on the White House lawn and they'll be okay with that. The president can take a dump in the Chamber of Commerce, and who cares? That's why this Republicans stand for nothing. But it is what it is. So you all hit the like, share, and subscribe. We have this content every day. We have different content every day depending on the subject. Who knows what's coming next week? We might be at war with Venezuela. For real. No, we might be at real war. Ivan the Brav, you're goofy and you're a toaster. Just because he continues to say things and you believe it doesn't mean he's the best president. His ratings are in the toilet, and that's where they're going to stay. Right now, we're on the cusp of going to war with Venezuela. The president has stopped all air traffic above Venezuela. Usually that means we're going to war. When we're going to war, we don't know. As we said, you can keep saying, Ivan, I already told y'all that repeating it over and over and over again doesn't mean us regular people believe it. Us regular people know you're the goofy, so we don't listen to that. You're the weak-minded person that believes what you say. We don't believe what you say. We know the prices are not cheap. We know that the president bankrupted farmers. We know the beef is not cheap. We know all of these things. Keep saying the goofy. Only people like you believe it. The rest of us don't believe it anymore. That's why his rating is tanking. That's why the rating is tanking. His approval rating is 39. And bombing Venezuela. He just called for no airspace, no traffic over Venezuela. So basically that means he's ready to bomb Venezuela. So you don't why y'all come over here and believe me? Why you don't go read the news? I don't understand. Go read President Trump's Truth Social. Please go read President's Truth Social post. And then you don't have to believe me. You just believe what he say. I don't understand why I get all this hate when I bring this news to you and then you start hating me. No, you don't read the news, because if you would have read the news, you would have known that the president stopped all air traffic over Venezuela. And usually when they do that, that means they're about to start war. That's what that means. Why are you over here? Shut up. Just shut up. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please. You don't believe, you only believe what he says. That's why I said go over there and choose social and figure it out. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back with more news, more updates, more news. Thank you.